At 3:17 a.m. this morning, October 23, under a flickering streetlight in Taoyuan's outskirts, Taiwanese police broke into a small roadside motel. The suspect they had tracked for 9 days, Liang Zhen, 41, manager of the late actor Menglong, was found sitting on the edge of a single bed, staring blankly at a half-burned photograph. He did not resist arrest. When handcuffed, he only said one thing, in a whisper almost too soft for the officers to hear. "You'll find them beneath the skin." Inside the room, detectives uncovered a suitcase wrapped in plastic. Inside were latex gloves, surgical blades, 2 glass jars labeled with foreign handwriting, and a notebook filled with diagrams of the human face, muscles, nerves, and skin thickness measurements. On one page, beneath a smudge of ash, someone had written, "Art is eternal when it's carved in flesh." The items were immediately sent to the forensic division. Blood residue was detected inside one of the jars, later matched to Menglong's DNA. When Liang was brought to Taipei for interrogation, investigators described his demeanor as unnervingly steady, until they played the recovered audio from the motel's destroyed flash drives. The tapes were fragmented, full of static and muffled screams, but what could be heard changed the course of the investigation forever. Liang, in the tape. They said it was performance art, a gallery that would outlive the actors. But what they did, what they made me watch. He stopped speaking then. When pressed, he began to shake violently. Then came the words that chilled the room. "They peeled him alive." Liang described a hidden floor beneath a private film studio in Beijing, a sterile white space reeking of antiseptic and iron. According to him, Menglong had been taken there under the pretense of a final immersion project meant to explore the limits of artistic realism. But instead, it became a chamber of horror. He said they strapped him to a metal table. They said his fear would give his art immortality. They played his own song while they worked, his voice echoing from the speakers while he screamed over it. He described how Yu's skin was systematically cut and removed from select areas while he was still conscious. The perpetrators, whom Liang referred to only as the collective, allegedly used experimental anesthetics to keep the victim awake but paralyzed, aware of every incision but unable to move. "They wanted the color of life," he whispered. "They said dead flesh fades too quickly. They needed the blood to still be warm to capture truth." Forensic analysts examining the mutilation diagrams later confirmed that they corresponded precisely to human anatomical layers, the same pattern used in medical dissection. But Liang said this was not for science, it was for exhibition. They created the Human Skin Museum. Each display was made from what remained of those they called art subjects. They stretched the skin over glass, shaped it to look serene, lifelike. They said you would be the centerpiece, the face of eternal performance. The investigators were speechless. One of them reportedly left the room to vomit. The senior inspector ordered the recording paused, but Liang continued to speak, staring straight ahead. "He begged me," Liang said, trembling. "He begged me to end it, to stop them. But they said if I disobeyed, I'd take the place on the table." He then described how Yu stopped breathing. One of the masked perpetrators ordered the assistants to prepare a replacement body. The corpse cremated under Yu's name, Liang claimed, was not his at all, just another victim, burned to conceal the evidence. The real remains were preserved. His skin was removed, treated, and sealed. They plan to display it under controlled lighting, call it the eternal performance. Later that night, forensic technicians in Taipei confirmed finding fragments of human dermal tissue beneath the surgical trays in Liang's suitcase. The tissue bore partial tattoos and hair follicles, evidence suggesting it once belonged to more than one person. Liang's voice on the tape cracked when he spoke of others. There were more of them, some famous, some forgotten. Kimi Chow was there before him. They said he volunteered, but no one volunteers to die like that. They called it transcendence. When questioned further, Yang said both men were part of what the collective called Project Aurora, an underground operation funded by powerful individuals within the entertainment industry. Its supposed purpose was to study the preservation of emotional expression through physical form. They wanted to capture beauty at its most fragile, the moment between agony and surrender. They said art should breathe, even if the artist no longer does. One segment of the recovered video showed a white room lit by harsh surgical lamps. The image was blurred, but a figure, believed to be Yu, could be seen restrained, his chest rising shallowly while masked figures hovered over him. One of them lifted a scalpel. A woman's voice off-camera whispered in Mandarin, "Don't close his eyes, keep them open. The audience must see truth." The footage ended abruptly there. The forensic examiner who viewed it later described it as something that doesn't belong in this world, a crime committed in the name of art. After 12 hours of interrogation, Liang finally broke down. His hands shook uncontrollably as he confessed that he had helped dispose of the preserved materials. He claimed that parts of Yu's treated skin were smuggled out through diplomatic cargo under false labeling, synthetic texture samples for a luxury art exhibition in Europe. "They used him," Liang said, through tears. "They used all of them. Their pain hangs on gallery walls while people sip wine and call it genius." When asked why he had fled to Taiwan, Liang said he had tried to destroy the remaining samples and evidence, but was hunted by members of the same organization. "They wanted me dead before I spoke. They don't just kill the body, they erase every trace of humanity." By dawn, the interrogators fell silent. The soundproof room reeked of metal and sweat. Liang sat motionless, staring at the crucifix on the wall, and murmured a final confession. "If you find the gallery, you'll find him, but don't go alone." Later that day, investigators raided a warehouse listed under one of Yang's shell companies. Inside, they found refrigerated containers, disassembled lighting rigs, and a hidden steel door leading to a narrow hallway. On the walls, faint outlines, patches of pale organic material, the last remnants of what forensic teams later described as treated human skin stretched over frame molds. The discovery sent shockwaves across both Taiwan and mainland China. Officials refused to comment publicly, but leaked reports confirmed that at least 3 containers had been shipped overseas in recent months, labeled as biological art prototypes. As Liang remains in custody, the investigation deepens into what might be one of the darkest crimes in modern entertainment history. The confessions, the evidence, the jars, the diagrams all point toward a network that turned human suffering into spectacle. At the heart of it all remains a single, unbearable image. Yu Menglong, eyes wide open, staring into the blinding light, whispering one last word that Liang swore he would never forget. "Mother."